Fortunately, we were able to place all 25 objects without detection, and, blessed by more good luck, none of the objects was noticed until the early morning work shift rush hour, and then all hell broke loose. It was as close to total chaos as we could have hoped. In fact, the reaction far exceeded our ability to document it. Given the state of the world and the profound potential for insecurity, our work set off all the alarms and went directly to code red. We did the best we could using the video camera and a 35mm camera, but we were unable to cover all the sites, even though we were able to fill in later by filming the coverage on television and clipping reports out of the newspapers. I should note that at the last moment we put flags on each of the boxes. Half of the flags read, "Give me liberty or give me death," and the other half read, "Extremism in defense of liberty is no vice." We wanted our work to be in the American tradition. Inside each box we had placed a second letter, which reads as follows. Dear recipient, congratulations. You have an inquisitive nature. We greet you in the name of art. Getting there is half the fun, right? This is a piece of public art designed for maximum impact and skillfully crafted of the finest quality materials. You are free to display it as you see fit. This was made by the PND, but it now belongs to you in every sense. It is yours to identify and use. We have enjoyed relating with you, and it is our hope it was good for you too. Sincerely, the PND. The immediate reaction at all 25 installation sites was to consider the object dangerous and to call the police. Buildings were evacuated, streets and sidewalks cleared. The police department, even with the assistance of the fire department and the local divisions of the state police, was not equipped to handle 25 calls of extreme alarm simultaneously. And even though officials arrived at several of the sites in full uniform and calling for a restoration of order, roping off each site with that yellow crime scene tape, no one advanced on any of the objects or made physical contact with any of them. It was clear that each object at each of the 25 sites was in full command of the situation and the center of attention. All normal radio and television programming was interrupted to focus on the installation. The mayor of our city declared a state of emergency. There was a plan to evacuate the entire city. The governor of our state announced that he was putting the National Guard on alert. Washington was informed and offering whatever assistance was needed. The bomb squad arrived at the City Hall location. The object was very carefully inspected and then was gently moved and placed in a tank of liquid by men dressed like deep-sea divers. They even moved like they were underwater. The tank was then hoisted into the back of an armored vehicle, and the vehicle, tank, men, and object drove off. This was shown on live TV, every station participating, and it was a gripping performance by all involved. We later learned that the object was exploded. It was shown exploding on television, making it appear that the object contained explosive potential, when in fact all it contained was the letter and a 5-pound bag of sand. In due time, the other 24 objects were removed from their installation sites. We do not know if they were similarly exploded. We doubt that they were because subsequent reports announced that a terrorist group, which called itself the PND, was claiming responsibility for, as several reports described it, bringing the city to a standstill. Numerous experts on terrorist activity were consulted. They counseled against panic. One actually claimed to know that PND stood for People's National Defense, a group that he said had ties with Libya, the Red Guard, and Middle Eastern insurrectionists. None of the experts knew why our city would be the target for a terrorist attack. One said possibly because it's so unlikely and unexpected, and therefore an easier target. Another said it's difficult to explain their activities. These are not reasonable persons. They are desperate people who will stop at nothing to achieve their goals. The city was in a tizzy. That night we planted 3 more objects, one each at the major TV affiliates. This time the enclosed message read, Good morning. The PND wishes to thank you for participating in its work of art. We're sorry about all the commotion, but we believe that art has to disturb the peace. That's what it does. Here is your second object, which we hope is indistinguishable from the first, and yet it is different because it is not the same. Also, the PND object is not armed. It is not dangerous. It is not a form of harassment. This PND object is a work of art. It is true that we are desperate people who will stop at nothing to achieve our goals. We are artists. We regret that yesterday's objects were blown up, mutilated, and discarded. Hell of a way to treat a work of art, wouldn't you say? Seems to us that some people are guilty of disturbing the art. Well, we live in a violent society. However, we hope to improve our relations with you. Relations is what this is all about. Relate to us, please. Please do not call the police or the bomb squad. Maybe you would like to call an art critic, if you can find one. See what he or she or they have to say. Have a nice day, PND. The three objects were removed without the fanfare of the previous day. Little mention was made of them. Follow-up stories referred to a hoax and a publicity stunt by unknown pranksters. Listeners and viewers were assured that the police were conducting a complete and thorough investigation. Rex and I considered another drop that evening, but decided it was unwise. There was the chance we might be caught, and there was no chance that we could make ourselves understood. We were either armed and dangerous, or we were misguided fraternity types. We were mad bombers, or we were crazy kids. These were the only two messages that could get through. Either way, the authorities would be thoroughly pissed off and highly motivated to get their hands on us and punish us for what we had done. The next day, we heard a radio reporter refer to us as artistic agitators. Rex said that an agitator was the thing in a washing machine that got the clothes clean. We called the radio station and spoke to the reporter, identifying ourselves as the PND. We asked her if she would like to interview us. She told us to call back. When we did, she said that she could interview us that night on a show that would also include the chief of police. We declined the offer, telling her that as artists we didn't understand what the chief of police had to do with our work. She said she was sorry, but unless we agreed to go on with the chief, her station wasn't going to be a part of giving us any more free publicity. That night we dissolved the PND. Actually, it dissolved all by itself. Rex said we had achieved our goals. Our mission was to get their attention and document it, he said. We did that. We committed a work of art. I agreed with that, but I also felt that we might have accomplished something once we had their attention, and we failed to do that. It was never meant to be anything more than a limited engagement, Rex said. Don't go getting all hopeful on me, he said, and I knew he was right. The public at large cannot tolerate what it doesn't understand. It must kill it or tame it, make it a house pet. If you want to remain free, you have to disappear. So we dissolved. Rex is long gone now. He's still married to the same woman, and they've got a kid. He moved to L.A., joined the real world. Jessica is gone too. I'm living with Annie now, in another city. I'm teaching a class in filmmaking. I like it well enough. The students are committed. They feel as if they've got something to say, and something needs to be said. In time, they'll get over that, but for now they feel that way, and it provides them with energy. We were having a discussion the other day about possible subjects for a film the class might make, and one of the students said, "It's the responsibility of people like us to be warning society. We can't just make cartoons and shoot-em-ups." "Warn them of what?" someone said. "The dangers of living the way we are," the first student said. "What gives us the right?" said another. "What makes us so smart? Who are we to judge?" "That's right, we shouldn't be warning anybody," said another student. "His name is Carmen. There's something about him I like. No one pays attention to warnings anyway," he said. "We should be the threat."